So recently I found out that Molton Brown's fragrances are getting a facelift. Not only do they have new bottles for their Eau de Toilettes, these are the current versions as you can see. These are the new ones as you can see. But they also have new Eau de Parfum concentration fragrances launching of their fragrances, which I'm very, very excited about. So if you like this house, or you don't know anything about Molton Brown and you want to learn a little bit about Molton Brown and their fragrances, then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian with Smelling Great Fragrance Reviews. If this is your first time tuning into my channel and you love watching fragrance reviews, finding out about new fragrances, discovering new brands, and of course participating in giveaways, and still haven't subscribed, please click that subscribe button below and also click the bell so you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. So the very first time I discovered Molton Brown was when I stayed in a hotel here in California, somewhere on my travels. And they had Molton Brown products there. This was in the 2000s, towards the end of the 2000s. So this is when I first discovered, because I loved the shower gel and the shampoo and the soap that they had in this hotel in the bathroom, and I really, really fell in love with it. So fast forward a couple of years, just around the time I was launching my first YouTube channel about fragrances, I discovered their fragrances that they had. They were in complete different bottles. They did not look like these bottles then. I discovered those fragrances, and then a year or so later they kind of completely vanished. I think they redid the whole line of fragrances, and they had other names for their fragrances. But now we have these bottles right here, but then these are going away as well. They are now reimagined as far as their bottles go, and they look like this. And this for the EDP'S. So they look really wonderful, and I'm really, really excited about these new bottles, and I can't wait to experience them. Not only in the EDT'S, but I already have a bunch of juice left in my EDT'S, but I'm very, very excited about what they are going to do to the EDP'S. So almost 2 years ago, I was in a layover in Gatwick Airport, and there I discovered the Molton Brown fragrances that they had at the airport, and they were very inexpensive. So they were around 30 some pounds per bottle in the 50 ml size. For some reason I didn't see the 100 ml sizes there, so I bought 5 of the fragrances, which are Mesmerising, Oudh Gold, Russian Leather, Tobacco Absolute, Bushukan, and Coastal Cypress and Sea Fennel. Those are the 5 I brought back, and the conversion rate to the dollars was about $47, $48 from the 30 some pounds, and the conversion rate between the pound and the dollar is great right now, by the way. Otherwise before it used to be almost double, which I did not like. Anyway, I brought those back. I did a video about those 5 fragrances. If you haven't caught that, please do. And then also this latest one is Rosa Absolute, which I brought back from Heathrow earlier this year. So the current bottles are going to go with the new design work, and in 50 ml size are going to be $80, and the 100 ml size are going to be $120. These are the Eau de Toilettes. And once you go to the EDP'S, the new bottles, they only come in 100 ml size, but not this bottle look, of course. A really, really gorgeous looking bottle, and they're going to be $160. So those are really what's exciting me, are the Eau de Parfum concentration fragrances, because I do like these fragrances. They're niche, but they're very mass appealing niche, so they're very easy to wear, but they're very unique scents, different directions, different styles, leathers, ouds, tobacco, you name it, they have it covered here. I think one of their more popular ones is the black pepper, and I think that's a very popular shower gel in addition to the fragrance. I don't have that one because black pepper I like, but it's not one of my favorite styles of or smells for me. Even though I do like it, I like it as a complementing note rather than like the main focus. But I do love the Mesmerising Oudh Gold, this one right here, and this is the fragrance that I'm really, really excited about to receive in the EDP Eau de Parfum concentration. So again, 50 ml bottle like this in the new bottle look, $80, 100 ml in this Eau de Toilette for $120, and once we go to the EDP, it's going to be $160 and 100 ml. And what's Mesmerising Oudh Gold about? So this is a very spicy, cinnamony, sweet, honeyed oud fragrance. It's not a stinky oud, it's a very mass appealing oud, so I'm assuming it's a synthetic oud, but it's very, very goldy and honeyed and resinous. I think there's some resinous touches in here, which give it kind of like depth, perhaps something like benzoin or something that's sweet, vanillic. But it's a gorgeous scent. I really love wearing it, and I love the fact that it's got that cinnamon and things like that. That's really much excites me with this fragrance, and this happens to be my favorite fragrance from this house, and this is what makes me excited about is the EDP. Let's see if it comes out to be a lot deeper and richer, which I'm assuming it's going to be. That's why it's going to cost more, $160 for 100 ml versus $120 for the 100 ml. Of course, the prices are going to be different in the UK, but here in the States, that's what the prices are going to be. So this one is the one that's really exciting me, as I said, and I can't wait to test this one out in the EDP concentration. So the next one that's really exciting me as far as an Eau De Parfum concentration version is the Russian leather. So the Russian leather that they, actually this is not Russian leather, this is Russian leather right here. So the Russian leather is a very, very unique take on leather. Of course, you have Russian leather from Chanel. All the different brands have Russian leather. It's like a very, very popular name and been done over and over again. So of course Molton Brown has their own Russian leather, but I find this one to be leathery but herbal and aromatic at the same time. So there's some herbal touches to it. It's got it's very smoky also, but the smokiness doesn't come through upon initial spray. So I'm smelling it, and in the background there's the smoke. There's a little bit of a buttery touch with the leather, but not ultra, but the aromatic touches are giving it lift and airiness to the depth of the leather. Now all these fragrances from this house that are Eau de Toilette currently, they're not overly intense fragrances. They're very easy to wear in Eau de Toilette. Let's see how they're going to be in Eau de Parfum. They're going to be thicker and heavier, deeper and richer. Will they be like that? I'm assuming they're going to be, and that's why this one is exciting me as my number 2 favorite, because I love the way this smells, and I like it because it gets deeper and richer as it's settling on my skin, and the smokiness comes through further before it's more aromatic. So this one is going to be very, very interesting as an Eau de Parfum. Let's just hope that they're going to be like really fragrances with lots of depth. So that one is Russian leather. It's my second favorite that I'm looking forward to as an EDP. This next one that I'm looking forward to as an EDP is Tobacco Absolute. Now Tobacco Absolute normally would have ended up at number 2 compared to Russian leather, but I kind of don't like this Tobacco Absolute as much as the Russian leather, even though I think I find them to be almost equally good. The Tobacco Absolute to me doesn't smell like real ashy tobacco or smoky tobacco. It smells more like the unsmoked leaves, or even perhaps the flowers. It doesn't really smell like a smoking cigarette kind of tobacco or pipe or something like that. So that's why I think it's a little lower than the Russian leather, because I prefer my tobacco to have that real, you know, smoked tobacco or something maybe like boozy, because even like pipe, it's a smell, and the cigar smell, there's something kind of like boozy that usually they add to the cigarette smell or tobacco smell, which makes it very, very sexy. This one doesn't have that. It does have just a dry kind of a leafy herbal kind of tobacco smell, and then also some floral touches that are very, very light nuances of floral touches rather than full-on floral touches. So this one I'm hoping is going to be having a lot more depth to it when it's released, and perhaps it'll you know, kick the number 2 of Russian leather to become number 2. We'll see, but for now Tobacco Absolute is my third most favorite fragrance from the Molton Brown collection that I want to be in an EDP. So anyway, do you guys like these fragrances, by the way? I mean, if you know them, let me know if which one you would rather have in the EDP the first. But that's my number 3. And then earlier this year, as I said, I brought back Rosa Absolute in 100 ml, which was actually a great deal. This was about $70 some. Was it that much? Maybe it was like $80 some converted once you pay the, you know, British pounds sterling price. Great price for this one, but currently as an EDT they're going to sell them for $120. Of course, this was from an airport. It included tax and everything, so in addition to the $120 you'll have to pay tax. Also, one more thing, if you don't know where Molton Brown fragrances are sold, you can always go to Neiman Marcus, and they have them there in our store here. They do carry the bottles. I've never seen the 100s though, I've only seen the 50s, but I just checked the Neiman Marcus website and they don't have any of the fragrances listed, only the shower gels, and I think I saw candles too, or maybe even soaps that were listed. So I'm assuming this is the transition stage and they're going to be switching over to the new look. We shall see. I'll see if they bring them to Neiman Marcus here as well soon, I'm hoping. And the one other thing I want to say is when I was traveling in the UK earlier this year and late last year, I did notice some standalone Molton Brown stores, which I thought was great, kind of like the Body Shop or L'Occitane, where you can go into the physical store and sample all their fragrances and their shower gels and all that kind of stuff and get their products and leave from one standalone store, which I find to be very cool. I've never seen their stores or standalone stores in the States. I don't even know if they have them elsewhere outside of the UK, because this is a UK brand, but maybe they do. I'm not 100% sure. But Rosa Absolute is one of those rosy fragrances that I really, really love. It doesn't seem like it has a lot of depth, so that's why I would love to see this one in EDP as well. But this one is a jammy rose, a deep, rich rose, but for me, it's mostly about the rose. There's not a lot going on in here. It feels like there's something missing in the fragrance. That's why I usually like to layer this with Guerlain's Bois Mysterio. I feel like Guerlain's Bois Mysterio is so big and bold and aromatic and with massive cloud and projection. This one, since it's like rose, the two together work so well, so I layer this with that one. But I mean, it's totally fine wearing it on its own. It's a great scent on its own. Like I said, it's a jammy rose, but I feel like that's all it is. It's just a jammy rose. There's not much happening with it, except for the fact that around it, it seems like there's some watery accords or something that feels like it's wet. So gives it a unique twist. That's why I feel like, since it is mostly rose and nothing else, it layers perfectly with that big bad boy of Bois Mysterio from Guerlain. But this one is another one I'm looking forward to. I'm hoping it gets a lot richer and denser, and we shall see, but that's Rosa Absolute. And finally, the other two that I guess I'm not that excited about these two becoming EDPs. We shall see, because Coastal Cypress and Sea Fennel I wore so much of. It smells great, actually. This is probably one of the better aquatic fragrances for me, but I like it as is. I don't think I need it to be deeper and richer in EDP, because it's so fresh and refreshing here. It does have lots of aquatic touches, but I'm very, very tolerating with this one, because it has that Coastal Cypress smell, and it's really, really beautiful. It smells great on its own. It's just a lovely, lovely scent. It kind of maybe hints a little bit at Joe Malone's Wood Sage and Sea Salt, but this one's a lot woodier from that cypress, and then a lot more aquatic, as in the Joe Malone doesn't get very aquatic. It gets mostly salty, and this one gets salty and aquatic at the same time. But lovely, lovely scent. This is so good, and I love this one as it is. So if I wanted to ever pick up another Eau de Toilette, the 100 ml will be $120 in the new bottle, and then the 50 ml would be $80 in the new bottle. And last but not least, Bushukan, which is a very, very, to me, it smells like a classic 80s, 90s men's citrusy powerhouse, aromatic, I don't know, classic touches kind of a fragrance. It's very citrusy, but when you smell it, it reminds me of an older, gentlemanly kind of a cologne. There's something under there that kind of has those like very aromatic and oak mossy kind of patchouli kind of touches. Goes into kind of like an older gentleman's cologne, which I like this one. I like this kind of fragrances. I grew up with them in the 80s and the 70s, and of course in the early 90s, but this one seems classic. I don't think I need this one in an EDP either, but we shall see. I'm going to test out all of them to see how they do as far as EDPs go, but the collection is great. I love this line. I'm hoping that we're going to see some improvements upon with the EDPs. The other thing I want to mention about these fragrances, they're all about 5 to 7 hours, give or take. The longest lasting fragrance for me is this one. You can get as long as like 6.5 to 7 hours, but that's pushing it. This one, it's gorgeous. It's probably the longest lasting of all of them. Bushukan also tends to last a long time on me, about 6 hours. Because something in here has this like legs in there. Even though it's citruses, lots of citruses. I think it's lemons and maybe even citron. Yeah, but the the underlying kind of like classic touches with the oak mossy kind of smell and patchouli and aromatic touches makes the fragrance linger longer. For example, the Coastal Cypress and Sea Fennel is probably the shortest lived, 4.5 to 5.5 hours with this one, and it gets very, very close to the skin. I'm thinking 4 to 5 hours is maximum for this one, maybe 4.5 to 5.5. But the other two, like Russian Leather, Tobacco Absolute, they're pretty good. 5 to 6 hours, I would guess somewhere around there is what I get with the performance of these ones. Same with the Rosa Absolute, but the Rosa Absolute I guess would be about 5 to 6 hours. They're just basically all around those time frames. You can push them to be a little longer if you spray a little more. Anyway, guys, those are my thoughts on these fragrances. I'm really excited about the new EDPs from Molton Brown. I'm also excited to see what the EDT bottles, how they feel and all that good stuff, and if to also see if they've done any changes to the EDTs in the current bottle, or have they left the smells to be the same. That could be completely different as well, so these could not matter very soon. Hopefully they'll be very similar, but I'm always looking to see what they do with fragrances, and I'm so excited about the EDPs. What about you guys? Are you excited about the EDPs or the new bottles in the EDTs? Let me know, put some comments down. Also, let me know if you haven't tried these fragrances, and if you're curious, or if you have favorites, put that down as well, because they have more fragrances. Like these are the only ones I have, these 6, and I'm always curious to discover more. Hopefully they'll come out with a few new fragrances now that they're coming out with new bottles, and of course new EDPs. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Please like this video, please share it, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.